Hi there, this is April O'Neil reporting live on the scene with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Michelangelo, serious question. What is your favorite pizza? Yeah, that was for fun, just joking around. Someone told me I sound like a reporter, so I am kind of like a researcher. I work best with three screens, watch a lot of videos on double speed with the caption on. I take a lot of notes, and I love taking notes. So yeah, kind of like my own researcher, journalist, reporter, in a way. And here I am reporting to you. Not live, but here nonetheless. So back to woofing, and welcome to Grow Your Gifts. Um, yeah, woofing part two. What is woof? I just want to add from yesterday as well that so that $300 a month Canadian can also be, the majority of it would be like traveling, because you're traveling on a budget. So um, like it depends what kind of person you are, what you like and everything. I like to just walk to the closest trail or river or lake. I'll take the city bus. I get around as cheaply as possible. If I'm in a jam, then yeah, I'll take an Uber or a taxi or something, which can get expensive. There's always ride shares and things like that, carpooling thing. I mean, you have to be safe, always be safe. Um, Bus was a really great way for me to get around BC. I forgot what the buses were called. They were all like different ones, but um, yeah, that was a really great way. And yeah, I wouldn't go to too many places or expensive places. That was just more like a nature and keep my budget low. And I checked out a hot springs. That was nice. Dragonfly on my bag. Ew, hanging in there, eh? So it's getting chilly, but Dragonfly is chilling on my sunny beach bag. All right. So, yeah, travel. You want to include as well your cost of getting there and getting home. So I took the plane to British Columbia, and I took the. I wanted to take the train back, but no, I had to take the plane on the way back. At that time, like travel restrictions were getting more intense. It was just easier. I'm sure the train ride from like British Columbia to Toronto is amazing, or there. So that's for the budget. A lot of things to consider. Um, yeah, if you can always get a ride. Like on one of the islands, I actually hitchhiked because such a small island is so easy to get around, and that's what my host suggested I do. So, um, and if you have like a ride situation where you can't pay them, you can always, bake them something, or do something nice for them. Or like I got a ride to the ferry terminal uh, at one of the islands, and I offered them cash, and they're like, no, no, we don't need it, we don't need it. I was like, oh, I want to give you something. And it was actually a woman and her dad, and the woman has two young children. And I told her what I do, grow your gifts, parenthood and parenting, help and everything. And her children were under 6 years old, and she told me her top three like concerns. So while she was giving me like a 20-minute ride, I came up with a whole bunch of solutions. I asked her a bit about her, her dad was right there, so about his parenting style and things like that. And um, we kind of did like a mini healing session too, but mostly I tried to give her solutions. So it just worked out really well, and she was really grateful. I mean, I don't know if it worked or not, so I never got a chance to follow up with her, but uh, it was stuff that, she's like, oh yeah, I never really thought about it like that. So I feel like maybe it helps, who knows? But that was an interesting way to kind of do a little give and give situation. So that was so nice of them. They gave me a ride with my two suitcases, and I gave her some parenting tips. So the grandfather was really like, "Wow, this is awesome! Like I'm learning about, you know, all this stuff and how to be maybe a different approach as a grandparent these days." So that was cool. So that was the budget. And oh, making a correction from yesterday. I'm all over the place with numbers sometimes. So the 6 woofing things where I was a woofer in BC and Ontario. So there's Ashcroft, Vernon was staying with a friend. This is where I mess up. So Ashcroft, Winlaw, and then I stayed in Nelson at a hostel. Kelowna was my third woofer experience. Merville, Hornby Island, and my number 6 was in Elsnore, Ontario. So I just wanted to clarify that. But I am going to go over those locations in Vernon, where I stayed with a friend, and Nelson, where I stayed at the hostel, because I think it's very cool. Yeah, so let's jump right in. The first place I stayed was in Ashcroft, landed in Kelowna. No, Kamloops. I always get Kelowna and Kamloops mixed up. So Kamloops, it's in a valley. Everything's in a valley, surrounded by mountains. Everywhere you go in BC, it's always in a valley. So it's kind of cool. So just to summarize what I did at my first woofing place, just overall, I helped with childcare, cooking meals, light housework, yard work, digging and clearing area with wheelbarrow, which I loved. And I learned about sustainable practices. They had a garden, they were growing trees, fruit trees of some kind, I forget, apples, and I just remember eating strawberries with the with the little ones and being like, maybe we should stop eating them, save some for mom and dad. And it was nice. It was very beautiful. It was on top of a mountain. I got to stay in this like tiny space, which I loved. It was perfect for me. It just had like my cooler with my snacks in there. There was fresh spring water from a pipe in the ground, with a faucet and like an outdoor sink. And oh my gosh, it was the cleanest, freshest water I've ever tasted. It was so good. And I had my water bottle with a filter just in case. That's how I roll. But yeah, I got to brush my teeth every morning with the sunrise overlooking this view. Oh my gosh, that was my favorite part of my day. It was so nice. I mean, I did have to figure out that, I should get my water the night before and let it get room temperature, because that water is so cold to brush your teeth with. So yeah, I let it get room temperature and use that room temperature water to brush my teeth with. But I love doing it in the morning time the most. And it was like, I don't know, I'm not good with measurements, but maybe 10 paces one way and 5 paces the other way. It was a really small space, but I was just there for sleeping, really, and going with my notebook and things like that, journaling, meditation. And there was a little campfire outside, so I was able to do 2 campfires before the wildfire warnings and stuff. And I did that all safely, and it was safely built. They had an outdoor shower, but it wasn't hooked up yet, so I did all that stuff at their house, which was just like 5 minutes down the hill. And there was an outhouse, which was just, I don't know, 30 steps away or something. So they had the kind where, they had it all dug out, and so it has like a bladder thing underground, and every now and then it gets emptied, kind of thing. Yeah, I've worked in early childcare for a long time, so I have no problem talking about whatever. That's what we do. We talk about everything. Nothing is unmentionable for us. So Sorry if I'm too grossing you out, but I think it's really cool to know what I asked them like, how does your outhouse work and things like that. So it was summertime, and I got to go down to the lake. So I had to go down this really steep hill, like it winds down. I mean, I call it a mountain. Someone told me off, like, it's not a mountain, that's a hill. I'm like, okay. I don't know. It's like a mountain to me from Ontario perspective. So I'm coming down this winding mountain, and I get to go swim in the lake. Oh, it was so nice, so relaxing. I mean, who are we kidding? I'm not swimming. I'm floating. I love to float. Yeah. I'm that weird girl who, when you see in the pool, like, who's just like, is she alive, or no, she's floating. At the beach, is she okay? No, she's floating. Yeah, that's me. So I just go there to float. And then the kids were telling me later, they're like, oh, there's leeches in the lake. I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? So another great thing about my cabin, I had no Wi-Fi, which I loved. I wanted to disconnect. So when I get to their house, I'm just hanging out in the garden. That's when I check the Wi-Fi. That's when I check, WikiHow on how to get leeches off of you. I'm like, okay, I always make sure I have my credit card or something with me because, But then when I talk to the locals a little bit more, they're like, no, the leeches are just in the reeds. They won't even bother you. Like, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to be afraid. It's okay. So I was like, I was not expecting that. I don't have experiences with leeches, and I don't want to. But yeah, after that, they helped me feel more comfortable. And then I had the long, lunging almost trek back up the mountain. But on my way down, I saw like deer, not quite baby deer, not quite adult deer, but like in between, 3 of them. I mean, I see that stuff in Ontario too sometimes, but it was just so magical. What else can I tell you about Ashcroft? It wasn't Ashcroft exactly, but it was close to there. So nearby they had a Goshala, and that's like a place for the milk cows, and they, in Vedic tradition, they give the cows their like names of goddesses. So they really respect and revere these cows. And as soon as I walk up to them, like they're in their area, and it's like they're smiling with their eyes, like a cat. Like they're just so sweet, so peaceful. And then what was interesting was the contrast, because as I was walking back from the Goshala back to my cabin, there's like a cattle ranch, like I don't know what it's called, but that's where they raise the beef. And they look completely different, these cows, and they're in their enclosure too, and it was just sad. They looked very different. They did not look happy. I'm not saying judgment on this way or that way, but it was also interesting from a neutral perspective to see that contrast. Like, I just saw this cow, and now I just saw this cow, and I was just like, wow. And just to feel that and feel the energy and observe what's going on. And I thought it was interesting. I'm not judging. I mean, everybody works hard and works with these animals, so there's a lot I don't know about it, let's just say that. And yeah, and just walking back and through the trees, like my neck was always like this. Like, I was just like looking at the mountains, and the trees are so tall. It's so nice. So a couple things in my experience in Ashcroft area, we had a heat wave, but I was okay. I actually dealt with it better than most people in the community, because I was telling them all the things I did, and they're like, well, how did you know to do that? So I just remembered, like, growing up without AC, and we had really hot summers sometimes. Yes, in Canada, we get very, very, very hot. And in the 90s, and what do we do? And so all that stuff came back to me, and I had a little fan, and I had the ice cold spring water, but I swear I had like a fever dream one night. Like, it was like a sweat lodge, trippy I don't do drugs. It was just I was tripping out though. So that was kind of cool, interesting. I survived, but it was okay. Yeah, I just kept cool. And then the fire started. Like, well, it was smoky a little bit, and the host I was staying with, they have experience with this, so they're like, yeah, you don't need to worry until your eyes are like burning, or before that you'll get an evacuation notice anyway. So I'm like, okay, good to know. And then I was like, oh, is that ash falling from the sky? What the heck? So it wasn't like major, it was just like, what is that at first? And then she told me, yeah, that is a bit of ash. So what happened was, where I was close by, there was 3 fires going on at the same time. Like, I forgot where, Linton and somewhere in Ashcroft and somewhere. Sorry, my memory's not the best. But we were close by it. And then within a day or two, another fire broke out close by to where we were. And the community was amazing. Like, they all gathered together and worked all through the night. The dad showed me like a little short video he took, and they did what they could to contain it, until emergency services came, because they're kind of like a off the grid community, on the grid, off, like a little bit of both. So yeah, that was really interesting. So that was Ashcroft. I think I went over most of the highlights. The food was amazing. It was just so good. And after that, I went to Vernon. So that's known as like the cottage country. I don't know if it's known for that, but as soon as I got there, I was like, wow, this is real cottage country. It's reminded me of like Muskoka area. It's real nice. So my highlights for Vernon were, we went floating, swimming, floating in the lake just down the road, like almost every day. And I don't know how the waterways work, but it was kind of buoyant in that water. I almost felt like I was in the ocean. I was like, wow, why am I floating so easily? It was so nice, and still summer and so warm, and it was so easy to just stay in the water for a very long time. Very relaxing. Got to hang out with the dogs there and take them for walks. They're so sweet, those dogs. And I was thinking of something. Where did it go? It was in the water, swimming. Oh, I forgot. But Vernon was really nice. Oh, yes. So the smoke followed me. Like I was saying, I was very blessed and lucky that I was never in any real danger. It just happened that way. I don't know how it happened. I mean, if I was, I would definitely evacuate, but I wasn't. I was okay. I'm all about like safety, safety. So the smoke, as soon as I was getting ready to leave to my next, my second woofing place, you could see the smoke in the distance, and over the mountains that were far away. So yeah, that was crazy. It did not go well for that area. They got, within a week or so, they got hit really hard. Yeah, it was just so crazy. So then I went to Winlaw. So in Winlaw, it's very interesting. They have no cell reception in that area, and they actually petitioned to keep it that way. So there was Wi-Fi at the cafe. I just had to walk, I don't know, 2 minutes from where I was staying, and I had Wi-Fi there. But again, a very off-grid kind of experience. So I stayed in like a trailer camper thing, a nice tiny one. But she had no real like hookups, except for like, basic kitchen stuff. So I was able to make my coffee and tea and food in there, but I used the washroom at her house, which was just, a short walk. So that was interesting. But oh my gosh, her garden was amazing. She did like wild style garden. So it looked like that at first, but then you saw there was like a rhyme and a reason for everything. She had 2 greenhouses, so it was getting smoky there too. So she's like, it's okay, you don't have to work if it's bothering you, but for some reason it didn't bother me at all. I really like the smell, actually. It smelled like a campfire. But she was older woman, so I understand, she needed to rest and not be outside. And she only wanted me to work like 3 hours a day. It was so ideal. So I'm like picking berries, I'm helping with the chickens. Oh my gosh, there were chickens. So this is my first experience with chickens, and it was a lot of them. And there's like electric fence because I won't go into details, but there was an accident, and it was there to protect them. Not electric fence, but a little shock thing to protect the chickens from predators. This predator got one of them. And yeah, so I helped chase their water and their food, and I was really scared of them at first, but I was like, okay, I'm like that with most animals. I just need I'm like, they outnumber me. But as soon as I just threw some food, they went over there. Oh my gosh, it was so interesting just to observe them. And then even they ate stuff like, I'm probably remembering wrong, but I would slice like a zucchini, I think, in half, and they would peck at it, and after a while it's gone. And other things they liked, apple, I think, sliced in half, kale, or I'm not sure. But it was very interesting that they eat different things and not just their regular food. So I had to, clean the area as well. That's really important. Yeah, and I just got to help with like gardening, and I learned to don't step on the garden bed. That was bad. Yeah, I was like, where are the lines? Where's the path? Where do I go? How do I reach that thing all the way over there in the garden bed? All these little details. I was like, oh my gosh, learning a lot. I really loved picking calendula flowers and chamomile flowers, and then drying them for later so she could make her tea. And it was just very peaceful, very meditative. So I had all this time to myself since she didn't need me to work that many hours. Usually it's 5 hours a day, but this is only 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. So I I talked to one of the locals, and he let me know that just down the road is, it was a good like 30-minute walk. So it's a, hour walk there and back. But I had the time. Oh, and while I'm walking there, I see people like pulled over with their van wide open. I'm like, isn't someone gonna steal their van? Bikes just by the bridge, and they're just like fishing or going for a swim by the river. I'm like, isn't someone gonna steal their bike? Like, you can tell I'm from Toronto area. Like this, I was just like, what? How are people so trusting? This is freaking me out. So that was kind of interesting. And so once I get to this nature reserve area, it was so magical. Like I felt like transported to another world. And it starts off with like these huge giant trees, and oh my gosh, I was so happy. It was just, there's like hardly anybody there. And then it opens into this long boardwalk, which is like over a marsh, just big open spaces, And then you get to the river. There's like a tiny little sand, but it's mostly grass and like picnic tables. And it's the Slocan River, I think. And so there's a bit of a current. It's quite cold, but it's summer. It's hot summer. I had a hot walk all the way there. I did my Wim Hof breathing, slowly get in the water, and I don't push it with the current. I go with my comfort level and safety first. I'm by myself and everything. But there was a spot close to the shore where I realized I can kind of just let myself float down a little bit and then get to the other little beachy area. So that's what I did. I left my sandals there on purpose, walked up to there, let the current float me down, down, back to my sandals, and that was awesome. Yeah, so magical. And then the host there, her and her partner, they took me to this other lake to go swim in the Slocan Valley. I've never seen such fit adults in my life. Like doesn't matter what age they were. It's like they were all farming or surfer people. I don't know, but they were so fit. They were in such good shape. Like every single age group. Like there was no soccer mom or anything. I was just like, wow, these people are in amazing shape. Um, and that was such a really nice lake. Like they had, I don't even know how to describe it, but there was like these big fish in there. I was like, they'll move out of the way if I jump off of this floating log thing. They'll move. So, but it was cool to, just swim with like all these big fish. And the water was so clear and so refreshing, so nice. So that was Winlaw. And then, some things happened. I don't know. I wasn't able to find my next placement for a while, and I stayed in Nelson at a hostel. It was a really clean, really affordable hostel. I loved staying in Nelson that time. Like, it just happened that way. I was even looking for work as a nanny because I'm like, I don't know how long it's going to be before I find my next woofing host. So I'll save Nelson for next time. And that would be my fourth location in British Columbia. And I just wrapped up my second woofing experience in Winlaw. So yeah, Nelson, BC will pick up there for part 3. Hope you're enjoying these very detailed, very personal experience of my once in a lifetime adventure of woofing part 2. Oh, there goes the camera. Oh, my reaction time is very slow. Okay, I am signing out. I don't know what happened there. Wish you well.